Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today's Wednesday, July 26, 2023. Today we're going to recap yesterday's MLB games, look ahead to tonight's MLB games. We have FIFA and other soccer to talk about, WNBA, golf, MLB trade deadline talk. We'll do this segment on the show every day up until the deadline day. News and notes and best bet. We'll start with baseball. We'll go over last night's games, look ahead to today's games. Some very interesting results that could shake up the trade deadline in several different ways. Angels over the Tigers 7-6 and 10. Phillies over the O's 4-3 on a walk-off single by Alec Boehm. Rays over the Marlins 4-1. Nats over the Rockies 6-5. Mets over the Yanks 9-3. Red Sox over the Braves 7-1. Big win for them. Guardians over the Royals 5-1. Mariners over the Twins 9-7. Cubs over the White Sox 7-3. Reds over the Brewers 4-3. So best bet 1. Astros over the Rangers 4-3. So now Houston is one back of the Rangers for first in the division. D-backs over the Cards 3-1. Padres over the Pirates 5-1. Giants over the A's 2-1. And the Dodgers over the Blue Jays 8-7 and 10 on a walk-off double by Michael Outman. So that was or James Outman. So that was a pretty big win for the Dodgers after being down 4 in. So, Danny Jansen had a 3-run double on the top of that makes it 7-3 Toronto. And then the closer or the bullpen collapsed in the 9th inning for the Blue Jays as the Dodgers score 4 in the bottom of the 9th. And then Outman is the game-winning double in the 10th. So, terrible loss for the Toronto Blue Jays. Terrible. All right, matinee games today. 12 o'clock, you have the Rockies and the Nats. Pete Lambert and Jake Irvin. Just pulling up the odds really quickly here. Nats minus 134, Rockies plus 116, over under 9.5, overs minus 120, unders minus 102, Rocks plus 1.5 is minus 170, Nats minus 1.5 is plus 140. Full game over is overjuiced. So I'm going to do over 4.5 Rocky runs at minus 113 instead. Marlins Rockies or Rays. Sandy Alcantara, Zach Eflin. So the Rays are in a bit of a free fall right now. They're minus 164 favorites at home. Marlins are plus 138, over under 7. Overs minus 122, unders even money. Miami plus 1.5 is minus 162. Tampa minus 1.5 is plus 134. Alcantara's been terrible all season. But I actually like the Marlins at plus 138 today at Tampa. It's more of a pick against the Rays and how poorly they've played lately than the Marlins, although the Marlins did just lose 8 straight. 1 o'clock, Royals, Guardians. Alec Marsh and Gavin Williams. Guardians minus 210, Royals plus 176, over under 9.5, overs minus 120, unders minus 102. Royals plus 1.5 is minus 110, same for the Guardians, minus 1.5. Can't believe I'm doing this again. I'm going Guardians run line. Mariners Twins. Bryce Miller and Joe Ryan. Twins minus 142. Mariners plus 120. Over under 8.5. Minus 10 each way. Seattle plus 1.5 is minus 176. Twins minus 1.5 is plus 146. I like full game under, but I don't feel super duper about it. 2 o'clock. Reds Brewers. Ben Lively and Freddie Peralta. Milwaukee minus 142, Cincy plus 120, over under 8.5, overs minus 118, unders minus 104. Reds plus 1.5 is minus 270, Brewers minus 1.5 is plus 140. I'm going full game under on this one too, as the Reds are only a half game out of the loss column, so this game is for first place. 3:30 Cards D-backs, Jack Flaherty and Zach Gallen. D-backs minus 148, Cards plus 126, over under 8.5, overs minus 120, unders minus 102. Cards plus 1.5 is minus 156, D-backs minus 1.5 is plus 130. So for this one, I'm going to do over 4.5 D-backs runs, minus 113. 4 o'clock, Jays Dodgers. Yusei Kikuchi and Tony Gonsolin. Dodgers minus 126, Blue Jays plus 108, over under 10, minus 110 each way. Jays plus 1.5 is minus 178, Dodgers minus 1.5 is plus 46. Holy crap, that's way too high. I like the under. Pirates Padres, Johan Oviedo and Seth Lugo. Padres minus 196, Pittsburgh plus 164, over under 8, overs minus 122, unders even money. Pittsburgh plus 1.5 is minus 108, San Diego minus 1.5 is plus 108. That's another difficult one to call. But I'll go over 4.5 Padre runs at minus 113. 6 o'clock, O's Phillies. Kyle Bradish and Ranger Suarez. Phils minus 120, O's plus 102, over under 9.5. Overs minus 104, unders minus 118. O's minus 1.5 is plus 155. Phils plus 1.5 is minus 188. So Phillies favored on the money line. Orioles favored on the run line. Tough call. I'm going full game under. That's high. 6:30 Angels Tigers. Patrick Sandoval and Michael Lorenzen. Tigers minus 112, Angels minus 104, over under 8, overs minus 122, others even money. Angels minus 1.5 is plus 155, Tigers plus 1.5 is minus 188. Angels favored on the run line, Tigers favored on the money line. Lorenzen, trade candidate, wants to pitch well. So I'm going to do with the Tigers money line minus 112, so that starts to trickle Ohtani rumors a little bit. 7 o'clock, ESPN, Braves, Red Sox. So I wonder if this was Yankees-Mets, but they flipped it because of how poor the Mets have been this season and Aaron Judge not being around for the Yankees. So I wonder if that's why they made the switch to this game, which is more deserving than the Subway Series. Spencer Strider, Brian Balo. Braves minus 162, Red Sox plus 136, over under 10, overs even money, unders minus 122. Braves minus 1.5 is minus 102, Boston plus 1.5 is minus 118. I'm going with the Red Sox on the run line, plus 1.5 at minus 118. That is ridiculous. Mets Yankees, Carlos Rodon and Jose Quintana. Yanks minus 156, Mets plus 132, over under 8.5, overs minus 106, unders minus 114. Mets plus 1.5 is minus 156, Yankees minus 1.5 is plus 130. I like full game over a lot. Rodon hasn't been good this year so far. Granted, this is going to be his fourth start. And Quintana, I don't trust Jose Quintana. Sorry. It's a full game over for me. Cubs, White Sox. 8 o'clock, Marcus Stroman, Lance Lynn. So battle two more trade candidates, potentially. Cubs minus 110, White Sox minus 106, over under 9, minus 1 each way. Cubs minus 1.5 is plus 146, Sox plus 1.5 is minus 176. I'm going Cubs minus 110. Rangers Astros for first place in the AL West. Andrew Heaney and Framber Valdez. Astros minus 184, Texas plus 154, over under 8.5, minus 1 each way. Texas plus 1.5 is minus 137, Astros minus 1.5 is plus 114. So for this one, I'm going over 4.5 Astro runs at minus 118. Last but not least, 9:45 A's Giants. Hogan Harris, Alex Wood. Giants minus 30, A's plus 190, over under 8.5, overs minus 118, unders minus 104. A's plus 1.5 is minus 106, Giants minus 1.5 is minus 113. I'm going full game over for that game for sure. All right, now I'll move on to FIFA. We will go over the results from yesterday and this morning, and we'll look ahead to everything tonight and overnight. All right, so Japan over Costa Rica 2-0, Spain over Zambia 5-0, Canada over Republic Ireland 2-1. Here we go. 9 o'clock tonight on Fox. USA, Netherlands. Here we go. Group E play. All the pressure on the ladies here. And they really the Dutch, this is probably their biggest competition in group play. All right, US minus 150, Dutch plus 450, draw plus 240. So they're only minus 150, which is nuts. I would throw that in a parlay with some baseball teams. I'm going to go over 2.5 goals at plus 125. That feels kind of right. 3:30 a.m. Fox Sports 1, Portugal and Vietnam. This is Group E as well. Both teams lost their first matches. Portugal's minus 1250, Vietnam's 18-1, the draw's 10-1. I think this is going to be Portugal's moment of the tournament. I'm going over 3.5 goals plus 150. 6 a.m. Fox Sports 1. Tomorrow morning you have Australia and Nigeria, Group B. Austria's 1-0. Nigeria drew. Against Canada, which is a big result for them. Australia's minus 250, Nigeria's 750, draws 330. I'm gonna go with over 2.5 goals at plus 110. And at tomorrow night's game, we will preview and pick on the podcast tomorrow. Okay, now to other soccer. We'll start with Leagues Cup because that is the biggest thing going on in soccer for men right now. So, results from yesterday. Miami over Atlanta 4-0. Houston and Santos who draw, but Houston advances 5-4 on penalties. Dallas over Necaxa 3-0. Mazatlan Juarez 1-1 draw. Mazatlan advances 4-2 on penalties. Alrighty, we have 7 games. 7:30. Athletic San Luis and New England. It's the East Group 4. The top 2 teams I had in that group New England drew against, I want to say it was the Red Bulls? Or is it NYCFC? Yes, it was the Red Bulls. They drew against the Red Bulls, and then San Luis has not played yet in this tournament. New England's minus 135, San Luis 3-1, the draw's plus 270. This New England team, I think, needs to get together a little bit. So I'm going to go under 2.5 goals at minus 106. CF Montreal and DC United. This is a group. The East Group 2. Montreal plus 120, DC plus 185, draws plus 240. Montreal drew against UNOM. And then DC hasn't played yet. I like DC United, actually, at plus 185. All right, 7:30 NYCFC Toronto. From Red Bull Arena. This is East Group 3. NYCFC lost to Atlas. And Toronto hasn't played yet. NYCFC's minus 150. Toronto's plus 350. Draw plus 280. I think NYCFC has to have this game. Going over 2.5 goals, minus 118. Philly Querétaro, that's Group 1 of the East. Philly's a big favorite, minus 220. Querétaro's 5-1. The draws plus 320. Philly won its first game against Tijuana on Saturday. I'm going to go under 2.5 goals, minus 106. I think the Union can win this 2-0 and just call it a day. 9:30 Monterrey and Salt Lake. This is West Group 2. Salt Lake defeated Seattle in its first game, and Monterrey hasn't played yet. Salt Lake plus 140, Monterrey plus 170, draw plus 230. I'm going with Real Salt Lake at plus 140. 10:30, LA Galaxy and Lyon, which is an interesting matchup in the West Group 3. Lyon played against Vancouver, and they drew. And the funny thing is that Lyon won CONCACAF, but I did not pick them to advance in Leagues Cup because they probably have all the tired legs. I mean, that's the case for picking against the Union or the Galaxy, or not the Galaxy, but LAFC or any of these teams that's had recent big runs. That might be a little tired. Galaxy plus 115, Leon's plus 185, draw plus 260. I'm going with the Galaxy at home at plus 115. Last but not least, 11 o'clock, you have Tigres in Portland. That is West. Should be West. Tigres, Portland. So Portland. Oh, it is West Group 1. Tigres hasn't played yet. And Portland beat San Jose. So I might have been wrong about Portland here. Tigres is plus 140. Portland's plus 165. Draw plus 230. I'm going Tigres at plus 140. All right, now we'll move on to other soccer. But yeah, Leagues Cup was a lot. We had to go through it. All right, so friendlies. Yesterday, PSG El Nasser 0-0. Draw Ajax over Unterhaching 5-3. Trabzonspor over Rabotaniki 4-1. Udinese over RP Leipzig 2-1. Valencia over St. Gallen 3-1. Sporting over El Sociedad 3-0. Wrexham over Man United 3-1. And then this morning, Travanspor over Triglav 4-0. Man City over Bayern 2-1. Tottenham over LC Sailors 5-1. All right, 1 o'clock, Las Palmas, Espanyol, 2 o'clock, PSV and FC Eindhoven, 3 o'clock, AS Roma, Braga. So I'm going to go draw, PSV, draw. 5:30, Brighton, Brentford. That's a hard one. I'm going to go draw. 7 o'clock, Aston Villa, Fulham. That's a good one, so draw. 8 o'clock, Crystal Palace and Molinari, so Crystal Palace. 8:15, Chelsea, Newcastle, draw. 8:30, Madrid and Man United. Great game. I'm going to go Man United. Don't feel good about it. And then 10:30, Arsenal, Barcelona. We're going to go with the draw there. And then Thursday morning, we have 6:20 of Inter Milan and Al Nassr. We'll do Inter Milan there. 7 o'clock, Atletico and the K-League All-Stars will go Atletico in that one. We're quickly going to touch on some qualifier results from yesterday. UEFA Champions League qualifying, HJK Helsinki over Molde 1-0. Zalgiris Vilnius over Galatasaray. I'm sorry, that was the 2-2 draw between those two teams. Dynamo Zagreb over FC Astana 4-0. Panathinaikos over SC Dnipro 1-3-1. Servette and Racing Genk 1-1 draw. Slovan Bratislava over Serginski Mostar 1-0. FC Copenhagen over Breidablik 2-0. And in Conference League, Partiani Tirana over Asclepiades 1-0. Hamrin Spartans over Dynamo Tbilisi 2-1. The New Saints and Swift. Hasbrange 1-1 draw. Balkani over Larne 3-0. Valmeria over Trepene 3-0. All right, some Champions League qualifying. 1 o'clock, you have Aris Limassol and Bate Borisov. Sheriff Tiraspol and Maccabi Haifa. 2:15, Marco Chensau and FC Karabag. 2:45, KL Klasvik and BK Hacken. Little Gorts, Rosgard and Olimpija Ljubljana. We're not going to do picks because of time. Then Conference Leagues, 11 o'clock, Struga and Buntkonst Podgoria. 12 o'clock, Rigas Futbola Skola and Saba FK. 12:45, FC Michlayad and Progress Niederkorn. 1:30, CSK 1948 Sofia and FCSB. 2 o'clock, Fenerbahce and Simbru Chizanu. These are all first legs, by the way. 2 o'clock, Neman Grodno and Balzan FC. All right, we have USL. To talk about. It's a pretty big slate. All right, 7 o'clock, we have Pittsburgh, Memphis. We're not going to do picks because we don't have time. 7:30, Birmingham, Charleston, Loudoun, Miami FC, Tampa, Tulsa. 8 o'clock, Louisville, India, XI. Rio Grande, El Paso. 9 o'clock, San Antonio, Hartford. 10 o'clock, Monterrey Bay, Phoenix. Oakland, Detroit. Orange County, New Mexico, and Vegas, Sacramento. And in League One, we have at 7 o'clock, Ford, Madison, in South Georgia, North Carolina, FC, in Northern Colorado. All right, now move on to the WNBA. We'll go over the games from yesterday, and we will look ahead to today. Liberty over Storm 82-86, or vice versa. Dream over to Mercury 78-65. Aces over to Sky 107-95. Sun over the Wings, 88-83. And the Sparks over the Fever, 79-78. One game tonight, 8 o'clock NBA TV of the Mystics and the Lynx. The Lynx are minus 170, Mystics plus 138, over under 159.5. Overs minus 112, unders minus 108. Oh my God, I'm reading this off like it's baseball. Lynx are favored by 3.5. I'm going to go with the over. I just think that is a low total. So I'm going to go with the over in that game. No Della Don for the Mystics. That's why they're a dog. But I do like the over. All right, now move on to some golf. We have the 3M Open coming up as the tee times are out. All right, notable tee time: 7:45 Kramer Hickok, Jimmy Walker, Kelly Craft, Paul Haley. 7:56 Henrik Norlander, Justin Sue, Max Hubbard, Doug Gim, Ben Griffin, Sam Ryder. 8:07 Ryan Fox, Robbie Shelton, Sengu Kim, Austin Eckler, Patrick Rogers, Adam Hadwin. 8:18 Matt Wallace, Taylor Hogue, Chesner V, Brett Horschel, Richie Runsky's 8:29, Lucas Glover's 8:18, but 8:29 is for Runsky, Sepp Straka, Matt Kuchar, Hideki Matsuyama, Tony Finau. 8:40 Victor Norman, Sanjay M, Adam Svensson, Branson Eckers, Stuart Sink, Mackenzie Hughes. 8:51 Nicholas Echevarria, Tyler Duncan, Cam Davis, Keith Mitchell, Martin Laird, Joaquin Herman. 9:02 Doc Redmond, Christian Ziedenhout, Scott Stevens, Matthias Schwab, Alex Naren, Brian Stewart. 9:13 Grayson Murray, Max McGreevy, Brandon Wu, Nate Watney, Troy Merritt, James Hunt. 9:24 Callum Tarrant, Taylor Pendrith, Alex Badley, Russell Knox, Jason Hadley, Dylan Fratelli. 9:35 Justin Lauer, Lucas Hodges, Kevin Tway, Matt Trainer, saying you'll know. 9:46 Kevin Westmoreland, Ben Grant, Sam Bennett. 9:57 Michael Glejic, Scott Harrington, Trevor Werblow. 1:10 Tyson Alexander, Taylor Montgomery, Kevin Streelman, Beal Hosser, Ben Martin. 1:21 Eric Cole, Hank Lebioda, Dylan Wu, Cam Percy, Sodi Kodiara. 1:32 Matt Neesmith, Harrison Endicott, Nate Lashley, C.T. Pond, Carson Young. 1:43 J.J. Spawn, C. Thiglia, Cam Young, Lucas Griffin, Grayson Higo. 1:45 Joel Dahman, or 1:54 Joel Dahman, Justin Thomas, Chad Ramey, Trey Mullinax, Andrew Landry, Gary Woodland. 2:05 Cam Champ, Charlie Hoffman, Robert Streb, Emiliano Grillo, Stefan Yeagers. 2:16 with Andrew Novak, Grayson Sieg, Austin Smotherman, Will Gordon, Davis Thompson. 2:27 Bryce Garnett, Ryan Remore, Scott Piercy, Davis Lipsky. 2:38 Patton Kazir, Ben Taylor, Austin Cook, Sean O'Hare, Ryan Palmer, Adam Long. 2:49 Jason Duffner, Harry Higgs, Jonathan Byrne, Michael Kim, Peter Malnati. 3 o'clock Ryan Moore, Evan Van Roy, and Kevin Roy, Brian Matthews. 3:11 Matthias Schmid. 3:22 Nicholas Hojard, Trevor Cohn, and Estelanzo Goya. All right, so I have a couple of names in mind that I am considering picking for this tournament. I genuinely believe that this could very well be a tournament where a long shot wins. And there's a lot of people that I'm considering. And there was a golfer that jumped out at me when I was doing my research. And it's a golfer that I think is just working his butt off to try to break through here. This golfer did very well at this event last year. I found him. He's 170 to 1. Actually, no, that was the wrong number. He's actually 300 to 1. Because there's a group winner without Cam Young, Sanjay, and Tony Finau, which is very, very strange why they did that. I'm going to lay 300ths of a unit on Peter Malnati at 300 to 1 to win the $3 million Open. All right, now we're going to do some MLB trade deadline talk. I'm going to try to be very quick here because I'm going to separate this from news and notes. So we'll start in the AL East. The Yankees are facing a near must-win against the Mets tonight at the stadium. And they got to win that Orioles series. They might have to win their next 4 games if they want to be a buyer. But my rule is if you are more than 3 back in the loss column at the trade deadline, sell. So, where things stand right now, the New York Yankees are 2.5 back of the wild card. 2 back of the loss column. They can thank the Blue Jays bullpen for that. And in that Royals series, I guess, kind of helped them a little bit. They're in last in their division. Boston leapfrogged them. And Boston's probably a better team than the Yanks right now. Only because Judge is out. But, right now, if they're 2.5 back, then buy. And I think the Yankees are the cutoff line right now for American League buyers. So, I really think the buyers are shrinking, personally. And even the Angels are 3.5 back and 3 back in the loss column. So, the Angels are a little bit of a hold right now as well. Boston, I don't know why they treated Kike Hernandez. I know he's been bad this year, but part of me wonders if that's a precursor for another guy they're potentially eyeing. It was like an upgrade, and the Dodgers said, okay, we could take him back. Toronto's playing well. They're the last wild card right now, but that was a terrible, terrible loss against the Dodgers last night. That could be like a season-changing, altering loss. Like, that was a terrible loss for the Blue Jays last night. So if the Yankees beat the Mets tonight and the Red Sox beat the Braves and the Jays lose to the Dodgers again, the Jays are in a little bit of trouble, in my opinion. The O's and the Rays seem like they are in the Ohtani sweepstakes. We've talked about that enough and already. So the AL Central. The Twins are up by 3 in that division. But the Guardians might be the exception to the rule when it comes to the 3 back of the wild card. But in their case, it's the division. They might be a buyer because they're less than 3 back in the division. That applies for my rule too. If you're more than less than 4 back in the division, you go for it too. So the Guardians apply to my buyer-seller rule. So they might be a buyer. So I wouldn't rule that out. Although there's rumors about them trading some young pitchers. And that could be like a Reds match for Jonathan India. The Guardians for Aaron Savali. But where would India play? DH? Because they already have a third baseman. They already have a shortstop and a second baseman. The Twins are going to buy. They need some arms in both the rotation and the bullpen. And speaking of arms, we're in the AL Central. The Chicago White Sox are nailing a trade. This is coming down right down the pipe right now. They're nailing a trade with the Rays as they'll send Lance Lynn to Tampa. And Lynn is willing to waive his no-trade clause. So that could be a hug watch situation in Chicago tonight. So, I really think Lance Lynn would be rejuvenated on Tampa Bay. That'd be a good pickup for them. And plus, they lost some pitchers for the season, so it makes sense for them to get Lance Lynn or somebody. But they could do better than Lance Lynn. But Lance Lynn is somebody that I think is fixable with the right team, and I think the Rays could be that team. So we'll see who else the White Sox sell off. Tim Anderson's probably going to move. I think that Lucas Giolito is going to move. I think he's going to the Dodgers. Maybe Dylan Cease. There are talks about him with the Astros. I think everybody's available on that team except for Luis Robert and maybe Eloy Jimenez. So just keep an eye out for a potential blow-up in Chicago on the south side. The Tigers. Lorenzen's going to be on the move, I would think. There's some other guys I could think of that could be on the trading block as well. Probably some relievers. And KC, I think Sal Perez watches on. Texas, they need some help. They need bullpen help. They need a bat, in my opinion. They, to me, feel like a mirage. I'm sorry. I was so high on this team, but they lost a series to the Aaron Judge-less Yankees, and they lost the series to the Astros. That's not cutting it for me. They need to make some trades before I reconsider them as a real threat. And then Houston, I think, is right where they want to be, amazingly enough. But I think they do need to make a couple of moves to ensure themselves as well as a possibility to repeat. Angels, they obviously are on hold right now, believe it or not. They're 3 back of the wild card in the loss column. So, to me, they're a hold. Amazingly enough. Seattle, they should be a seller. They're too far back out of it. But they're only 7.5 back in the division, though, which is weird. The AL West we might have overrated that division a little bit because Texas is kind of falling off a little bit. But I think Seattle's going to sell, and they should. But we'll see who they end up moving. They are 4 back right now, but they might. So if the trade deadline was today, they'd sell. But if, say, in a week from now, or maybe 6 days from now, they're 3 back, then hold or buy. Oakland, we'll see who they move. Brent Rooker's going to be on the move. Maybe some of their pitchers will be on the move. They have, no assets. The National League. All right, the Braves. I feel like they're the only team that I think can get away with not doing anything. They're so good. They're the only team that doesn't need Shohei Ohtani, literally. Heck, I think the Astros, you can make a case, could use them. Because there's some guys that haven't worked out, like Jose Abreu, and they have some injured guys. Some of their young guys in that rotation aren't as good as we thought yet. So I could see a world where they get Ohtani out of desperation to repeat. But the Angels, I don't think, would trade in division. Philadelphia, I think, is the sleeping giant for Ohtani. They're a half game back in the wild card. They should buy. Miami is very interesting. They're 1 back of the wild card. They should buy. And I think they should be looking at bats. Mets, sell. Obviously, JV and Max are available, as far as I'm concerned. We talked about that on the show, I believe, on Monday. But let's see if they can get something for those guys. Who would overpay? Would the Astros bring back Verlander? Would the Dodgers be willing to bring back Scherzer? But what are those two teams going to give up? I think the Dodgers have more to trade than the Astros do. Washington. They're going to sell. They're terrible, as we know. Jaime Candelario will move. Some of their other guys will move. Central. Brewers are going to buy, believe it or not. Barring a major collapse. It would have to be a monumental collapse. So I guess they'll hold off the Corbin Burns talk till the offseason. That's not good for a team like the Baltimore Orioles that need pitching. Reds are going to buy too. They need pitching in the worst way possible. Cubs will sell. It's funny with the Cubs. They have a plus 45 run differential, so the numbers suggest they're actually a pretty good team. But they're 4 back in the loss column of the wild card, so they might be a hold come trade deadline. So if the Cubs have a hot run in them, they might end up a buyer. So stay tuned for the Chicago Cubs. Cardinals are going to sell. I think everyone's available on that team, literally. Literally everybody's available. Even Goldschmidt and Arenado. If you're hearing your name linked in trades, you're available. That's my rule. Pirates are going to sell. We know that. They have everybody in the trade. They have Brian Reynolds, who can move. They have David Bednar, who can move. Mitch Keller's available, too. Dodgers are going to buy. We know that. They're the Dodgers. D-backs are going to buy. The Giants are going to buy. I think both teams need pitching. The Giants probably need offense, too. San Diego. They're interesting. They are 6 back in the loss column. Unfortunately, they're probably going to be a seller. That was my long shot that I gave out for a division pick for the portfolio. So, they're probably are going to sell, even though they said that they're going to hold on to Blake Snell and Josh Hader. And then the Rockies are going to sell. Will they trade Chris Bryant? Will they trade Charlie Blackmon? Will they trade anybody else? You got to stay tuned for that. All right, other news and notes. A ton of contract extensions given out in every sport. We'll start with the most shocking one in terms of term. The Boston Celtics signed Jaylen Brown to a 5-year, $304 million extension. Holy shit, I said to myself when I saw that. That's way too much money for Jaylen Brown. I don't think he's worth that much. I think he's probably worth $250. Jaylen Brown is a number 2 on a championship team, not a number 1. If this was Jason Tatum, I wouldn't have been surprised. I'm very surprised Jaylen Brown got this much money. This might go down as a terrible contract, maybe even in 2 years from now. But the Celtics had to do it. That's my defense of them. They had to. Or else he was going to demand the trade, and they were going to potentially get lowballed in a trade. Another contract extension given out was Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert. 5 years, $262.5 million. Well-deserved for Justin Herbert. You knew he was going to get it. He was the first one in that group to get it in terms of quarterbacks. There are other guys from his draft class that got paid. We'll get into that in a second. And I'm trying to find the guaranteed money here for $218.7 million total guarantees. Top's previous high of $80 million, and he gets $100 million in 2025, which is insane. Justin Herbert I don't think has won a playoff game in his career, and he's getting paid like this. But what do I always say? You're paid on future projections, not past performance. So I understand that. All right. Offensive lineman extensions. Titus Howard and the Texans. 3 years, $56 million, $36.5 million guaranteed. Good on Houston for doing that one. Giants and Andrew Thomas. 5 years, $117.5 million. An offensive lineman record, $67 million guaranteed. Well-deserved for Andrew Thomas. He's been a rock on that Giants offensive line. His development is a big reason why Daniel Jones had the year he had last year. And one of the biggest reasons why the Giants made the postseason last year. So Andrew Thomas deserves that money. Big time. Trayvon Diggs Cowboys extension. 5 years, $97 million. So Trayvon Diggs gets that big money extension from the Dallas Cowboys. Believe it or not, a hockey contract extension. Sebastian Aho, 8 years, $78 million. He's going to be making almost $10 million a year. Good on the Canes for extending Aho long term. So, a basketball, a hockey, and a bunch of football extensions. And the football extensions are going to keep coming for the 2020 draft class. So, we saw it with Herbert. Burrow's going to be coming soon. You have Andrew Thomas, Howard of the Texans. We saw Jalen Hurts already get it. So he was actually the first one to get it from that group. So, we'll see who else gets paid. So, yes, it was Jalen Hurts that went first. And then it was Herbert, and then Andrew Thomas, Titus Howard, Trayvon Diggs. So we'll see who else gets paid. But we have a lot of other news and notes to get into, so we're just going to go random order. Something terrible happened yesterday. Bronny James had a cardiac arrest. He's in stable condition after collapsing on the court during SC practice on Monday. So that's really sad news, and hopefully Bronny gets well soon. That's just awful. When I heard this news, I really was sad, because you hope for the best in these situations. But luckily he's out of ICU, and hopefully he gets well soon. Jimmy Graham is back in the NFL as he re-signed with the Saints. I think he's washed, personally. It reminds me of when Jason Witten came out of retirement and signed with the Cowboys. And was back on Dallas for that 1 year. Arch Manning inks his first NIL deal as he signed a multi-year deal with trading card company Panini America. Jim Harbaugh likely suspended as Michigan and the NCAA are working toward a 4-game suspension over recruiting investigation. Action Bronson went off from Yankee Stadium on why Shohei Ohtani should pick the Yankees. That's just a homer right there. The Yankees' deadline approaches in limbo for the next few days to see where it stands before the trade deadline, as it should. If you're right there, if you're like right there on the cut line for me, you should be in limbo. I mean, I hate to say it, but if you're right there, if you're 3 back, you're in limbo. And I think them and the Angels are the 2 teams in limbo, amazingly enough. As obviously the Yanks checked in on Ohtani. Sad news in hockey. Rocky Wirtz, the owner of the Blackhawks, passed away at the age of 70, as he served as principal owner of the Hawks since 2007. That's just sad news. Thoughts and prayers go out to the Wirtz family, the city of Chicago, the Blackhawks organization. That's very sad. And I'm very interested to see what happens there going forward. But they're lucky that they have Bedard. And he half owned the United Center with Jerry Reinsdorf. And then obviously he took over the Blackhawks after his father Bill passed away in 2007. So we obviously went over that story, how he helped turn the Blackhawks around by bringing in John McDonough and Stan Bowman. And that was probably the it team in sports before the Warriors. Actually, it was them and the Miami Heat that were, like, on top of the world when LeBron was on Miami. And then they kind of fell apart and became the Warriors. And then right after the Blackhawk dynasty, the Cubs won the World Series in 2016. So, just a lot of history with Rocky Wirtz of the Blackhawks and how he got that franchise turned around after it was in a rocky place. No pun intended, before Rocky took over. So again, thoughts and prayers go out to the Blackhawks, Rocky's family, and the Blackhawks organization. Sidney Crosby posts a congratulations for Patrice Bergeron on his retirement, as he's congratulates him on his remarkable career, he says, which was very nice. I like that about Sid. He was always very polite and very a leader, just with the Penguins, but with his peers. Gotta love Sid and his personality and whatnot. So that was very nice of him. Nick Bosa holding out, as John Lynch says that he is not expected to be at camp as both sides negotiate a long-term deal. That's not great. Saquon returned to the Giants, so we talked about that yesterday. Former Raider Tayshaun Bauer agrees to a deal with the Giants, so some pass rush depth. 6 Giants players on PUP, Sterling Shepard and Wan'Dale Robinson among them. Oh, thank goodness their wide receiver room is improved. Brock Purdy cleared the practice, as John Lynch says that he has been cleared without restriction after having off-season elbow surgery, so that's good news for them. Jonathan Taylor begins camp on the PUP list as he's still recovering from off-season ankle surgery. Kadarius Toney had knee surgery, as Andy Reese says he had to have a procedure to clean up cartilage after tweaking his knee. We talked about him yesterday. John Mechie cleared for camp as he's ready to go after missing his rookie season with leukemia. So that's great that John Mechie is back and ready to go. That's awesome. And I'm rooting for him to do well. The Giants fans joined the A's protest as they were chanting "Sell the team" as fans protested the A's plans to move to Vegas. And then the Giants also call it Marco Luciano. So that's really good for the Giants. Justin Verlander may not get traded after all. There's a decent chance that JV could use his no-trade clause to stay with the Mets. Interesting. The Braves had a triple play in Boston last night as they take advantage of terrible Boston Red Sox base running. Bryce James had a really nice post for his brother. Congress introduces the NIL bill as it gives NCAA ability to negate deals and would ban existing state NIL laws. So that's very interesting for sure. And that does it for news and notes. Last but not least, my best bet of the day brought to you by FanDuel. Again, we're going to do a 1/10 of a unit. And I am going to go with a total that was way too high. And that's under 10. Jays Dodgers. That is way too high. So I'm going to go under 10 between the Jays and the Dodgers for my best bet of the day. That's it for the show. I'll be back tomorrow recapping everything and looking at everything going on tomorrow as well. Hope you guys have a great day, everyone.